Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monkey in the Morning. Rather early edition for us here. But the big happenings today. Big happenings. Somebody asked me earlier, I can't believe you're not already streaming. And it was just a timing thing because this news came out right before Lady Monkey was set to get out of work. And I spent some of that time with her. So I couldn't. I wanted to, but I couldn't. And so here we are. Big news today. Kamala Harris will be your president if Joe Biden is elected. Let's not kid ourselves, guys. We know what's going to happen here. Joe ain't going to last. Joe's not got 4 years in him. He just doesn't. So he's picked his successor. That'll be Miss Harris. The title of this, I titled it "Why Kamala Harris is Joe's Best Option" or something like that. And truthfully, it's not. She's not his best choice. But given the choices that were thrown out there, the choices we knew about, she's the best choice of them. And we'll get to Kamala and all the things wrong with her eventually. But first, let's talk about some of the people who were floated and why they weren't good candidates. My governor, let's start with that ignorant twat. Oh, whoops. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to say the C word. That ignorant woman. Well, she's ignorant. She has no bona fides other than Trump didn't like her. Trump got into a fight with her over COVID response. It's the only reason she got any kind of recognition at all. It's not like she's done a good job here in Michigan with anything. Our roads still suck. Can anybody from Michigan, can you think of something that she's made better? Flint's water's still shit. She's done nothing. She's got no reason to be on there. Speaking of no reason to be on there, Stacey Abrams, she was floated a lot. Do you guys remember when they had that podcast, or I guess it was a stream with him, Joe Biden and Stacey Abrams, and he's asked, "Are you going to name her your VP?" And you can see it in her face. She knew right then she wasn't getting it. We all knew right then she wasn't getting it. But she's never done anything. She was a state representative who decided to run for governor, lost, and refuses to admit she lost. That's her claim to fame. That's it. Angry says, "Excuse me, Monkey, I was promised to Jack. If you check, the thumbnail has been changed because Jack's not going to be able to make it." Stacey Abrams, the fact that they even floated her name to begin with is a joke. Who else do we have? Susan Rice. Susan Rice was one that they have talked about a lot recently because she's a woman of color who worked with the Obama administration and who has some serious questions to answer about an email she wrote in regards to the whole Obamagate stuff. She was part of the meeting where Obama and Biden were talking with Comey about going after Flynn. And she writes this weird email, this really weird email. That's like everything was done by the book. Well, if everything was done by the book, why do you have to say it? Some questions to be answered there. Then it brings Benghazi back up. She was a key player in all that. Susan Rice was a horrible choice. Y'all got to stop just looking at women with dark skin and going, pick her. Instead, find an intelligent woman. There's tons of them out there. There's even some in the Democratic Party. I don't agree with them, but at least there's some out there who aren't idiots. Stop picking ones that have just been in the news. Like, yeah, we need that one. Speaking of that, they tried with Karen Bass, who wasn't even in the news. Like, there was a big push for Karen Bass. She's the head of the Congressional Black Caucus. And nobody knows anything about her. And they're like, oh, that's a safe bet. And then people started looking. And she's made several illegal trips to Cuba back when she was a teen. And said some things that, well, make it seem like she was praising Castro after he died. And let's not forget her praise of Scientology. She says she wasn't praising Scientology, but she was very, very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Complimentary when she was asked to talk at their opening. And then there was some weird stuff that went on with her finances. Some really weird stuff where she had donated $100,000 to a charity that she started that then in turn had given her $70,000 in consultant fees. That's true. Look it up. So she came and went real fast. Who else do we have? Elizabeth Warren. Tammy Duckworth. This woman, she's a disabled vet who's now a member of Congress. And other than that, nobody knows anything about her other than she started saying really stupid shit on television when her star started to rise. She's like, put some lead in that balloon. We're going too high. She flamed out really fast. So these are the names that I remember right off the top of my head of people. Now, there were weird, like people going, what about Hillary? No, never going to happen. Michelle Obama she doesn't want the job, you guys. She doesn't want the job. She wants to be famous like Oprah. I'm telling you. Listen to Monkey. Sometimes I know what the hell I'm talking about. Which leaves you with Kamala Harris. Does that make her a good choice? Oh, hell no. Amy Klobuchar. Klobuchar, she had some, that's what I'm looking for here. She had just a moment, but you got to remember, she took herself out of the running a couple of weeks ago. She's like, I think a black woman should get it. I'm sorry, a person of color woman. A person of color woman. Isn't that awesome? A person of color woman? Oh, God. That even sounds as dumb as it is. So, yeah, Klobuchar, she was never a serious candidate anyway because nobody liked her. She was popular with wine moms. That's the only people she was popular with. Wine moms. It's not exactly a demographic you really need to go after. Once he came out and said, yes, I'm going to get myself a woman, effectively cutting the pool in half. That limited his choices. There are plenty of men who are far more qualified and would be better candidates than Kamala Harris. Pick any homeless guy off the street. Done. Pick one of color if you wish. There's several of those out there. Done. But he limited himself to women. He promised, will you right here, right now, promise that you're going to get us a woman? He's like, I'll get you a woman if that's what you need. And then it became woman of color, which the campaign never said. They are playing up now that she's black and Asian. I love that. Kamala Harris is now black and Asian. If you want to talk about her ancestry, she is half Jamaican. I don't know what the other half of that part is. Honest to God, no clue. But the other half of her is full-blooded Indian, which makes her, of course, Asian because India is on the continent of Asia. But suddenly that's become a thing. She's no longer just a black woman. She's a Blasian. Exactly, John. She's black Asian. Yeah, so, wonder if she's going to be willing to submit to a... No, that's... She's black and Asian. She's actually more Asian than she is black. Blacks, you're coming in behind Asians again. Thank you, Democratic overlords, for that. There's a lot of problems with Kamala Harris, and I think they're wrapped up pretty well in the the picture on the thumbnail, which, by the way, is not mine. I wish I knew who to give credit for that to. It's from Imager or something like that. And it simply says, it's Joe Biden. And it says, if Kamala Harris hasn't thrown you in jail, then brother, you ain't black. Kamala Harris has a problem with the black community. She has a problem with the Antifa community. She has a problem with the all cops are bastards community. She has a problem with the legalized marijuana community. She has problems, tons of them. She's a bad candidate. She's still a better candidate than the other people that they were looking at. First and foremost, this is a woman who rose to power riding a powerful man's dick. That's just fact. She was in she was in Willie Brown's pubes, you guys. She was in Willie Brown's pubes. She snuggled her nose right up to his balls. Okay, I don't know what kind of sex they had, but they had sex. She started fucking Willie Brown, and Willie Brown helped her in her career, helped push her to other politicians and to donors, and helped her get elected. And that's how she got there. You have Democrats like, she's a great role model for little girls. No, she's really not. She was fucking a married man for clout. I mean, she's a sign of the times if ever there fucking was one. But she's not somebody you want your daughter to aspire to be. You know, you don't sit down your little 5-year-old and go, you know, one day maybe you can fuck a mayor and he will help you become somebody. That's just, it's, she's a better candidate than the others. That isn't a good endorsement, monks. Let me tell you this. I'm not endorsing her at all. I hope you understand that. Kamala Harris is a horrible choice. And like I said, we'll keep going over the reasons. But how she got her start is important. It's important. Especially if you're going to hold her up as this thing for little girls to aspire to. Kamala Harris likes to do that. She likes to run around and talk to little girls and then be like, we agreed that one day she will aspire to be like me. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but check her Twitter. I follow Kamala Harris and have for a long time. But check it. Look, she holds herself up as a role model to little girls. She got ahead by sucking dick. Period. And while I don't have a problem with somebody doing that, that's not a role model for little girls. If that's how you want to get ahead, good for you. Use your puss. If it works, more power to you. But that's not something for women and young girls to aspire to. Kamala Harris became a DA and then the Attorney General. And she has some questionable stuff there, which, unfortunately for her and fortunately for the Trump campaign, Tulsi Gabbard, well, pretty much laid out there. It's what killed her presidential ambitions. It wasn't just her lack of ability to, what's the word I'm looking for here? Her campaigns, well, just garbage state. She couldn't run a campaign worth of shit. She had tons of money. She had tons of people. She had a huge send off to her presidential aspirations. And she just fucking destroyed it because she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. That's not what killed her. It was about a minute and a half worth of Tulsi Gabbard during the second or third debate. I can't remember which one it was. But Tulsi Gabbard got up there and talked about old dipshit. We're going to watch that. I don't know how loud this is, so let me know, guys. What is my volume at? Okay. Tell me if this is too loud.
Senator Harris says she's proud of.
We'll check in a second. This is the moment, and this is a shortened version of it. It's only 39 seconds long. This is the moment that killed her presidential aspirations. All right. I'm being told it sounds fine. Let's do it.
Her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
We're going to talk about this again in a minute because she did lie about it when she was talking about smoking dope. She lied about smoking dope, you guys. Which, if you want to smoke, that's fine. But why lie? Why about? Anyway, so 1,500 people in jail for marijuana, even though she laughed about it.
She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congress.
Did you see her face there at the end? Did you see her face? Look at, let's get there, Kamala. This is the face of a woman's like, oh, fuck, I need a new job. She got so pissed during this. So pissed. Oh, I don't even know where to start. Let's go back to the getting high thing. Look, I don't have a problem with getting high. I honestly don't. If you want to get high, that's between you and your God and your state laws. But she was a prosecutor. That's not when she got high, she wasn't a prosecutor, not according to what she said, at least. Y'all want to see a really horrible example of our media? A really horrible example? Because they've already disproven what Kamala said. You see, Kamala comes out, she's on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne and I forget who they are. And she tells this story. She's asked if she ever got high. And she said, yeah, I got high. Ex-Bubba Hotep, thank you. I personally have been listening to Tupac since 1904. Don't get ahead of me, sir, right? I know what you're talking about. Oh, shit. Was I on my other? I was on my other channel. Damn it. See if I can find the video that I was watching. Because here it is right there. It's one of the first things that comes up. So what I typed in is Harris lies about Tupac. And the first thing that comes up is apparently that's a Steven Crowder bits part. And the next one is a play-by-play of Kamala Harris admitting she smoked weed from the Washington Post. And I was like, oh, this should be interesting to see. Except for it turns out that this is a play-by-play to prove she didn't lie, you guys. Which, by the way, is a fucking lie in and of itself. This is from back February of 2019. The Washington Post has already come out. And if you guys follow politics, like on Twitter or anywhere else, and you bring up her lying about this shit, you're going to have to hear this nonsense. Somebody's going to shoot this video at you. And so we're going to go through it real quick. This is our media running interference for at the time, presidential campaign, lying for her. Just absolutely lying for her. Frank, thank you so much, says, can I get that debate clip? Remind me, and I will do my best to throw it into chat. It's on my Twitter if you follow me over there. I tweeted that out earlier. So you can see right here, the Washington Post, you guys. Let's listen.
Kamala Harris's comments from her radio interview with The Breakfast Club are
Can you guys hear it okay? I'll turn it up.
sparking controversy.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like in
And
college,
I inhale. I did inhale.
Okay.
I hate her laugh. I hate it. I fucking hate it.
It was a long time ago.
Harris explains her pro-pot stance and admits that she indulged in the substance while in college. Then this exchange happened.
What does Kamala Harris listen to?
What were you
What's your
listening to when
favorite-
you was high?
Oh
What was on? What song? Was it
my goodness. Oh yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac for
Tupac.
sure.
Now they're about to explain to us why this is wrong, and then they're going to explain to us why it's still right.
People quickly jumped on what they saw as a contradiction, given that Tupac and Snoop Dogg were not producing music while she was in college. Harris graduated from Howard University in 1986 and later got her JD from the University of California in 1989.
So last time she was in college was in 89.
Tupac's debut album, Tupacalypse Now, came out in 1991, and Snoop's first album, Doggy Style, followed a few years later in 1993.
So 2 years and 4 years after she was in college, she says she was smoking weed, listening to these two guys. But Washington Post here, one of the premier newspapers in our country, is about to tell us why we should not believe our lying ears.
So, if you're just listening to this piece on the radio, it sounds like Harris's memory is mixed up.
No, it sounds like she's fucking lying because she did.
Or maybe she lied about what her stoner jams were in an attempt to sound cool at a time when more and more Democrats, and even a few Republicans, are on board with legal weed.
They're about to take us through several people claiming they smoked weed. We're going to skip ahead, but I'll show you. See, Bernie, and then Obama, and then, oh God, what's his name? Bonner. Clinton, Jeb, and then we get back to Kamala. Now, I will link this later so you can see I'm not skipping anything important, but they're just like, everybody's saying it's okay to smoke.
But when you watch Harris's whole interaction on camera, the situation plays out very differently.
No, it doesn't. You lying. Oh, I almost used the C word. You lying bitch. It does not. And I will prove it.
DJ Envy asks Harris what she listens to.
What does Kamala Harris listen to?
Charlemagne then asks a separate question as an aside to the senator.
What were you
What's your
listening to
favorite-
when you was high?
Harris politely laughs, but then makes eye contact with Envy.
What was on? What song? Was
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, definitely Snoop.
All right. See.
Tupac.
So it's implied that she's answering Envy's question about what she listens to in general, rather than specifically what she listened to while stoned. Harris has been accused of pandering because of the way this played out.
All right. So there's your lie right there. And I'm going to show you in a second why that's a lie. Pincalo, thank you so much. I don't have enough weed for this stupidity. Oh, it gets better. Let's go back. All right. Charlemagne asks his second question.
And then asks a separate question as an aside to the senator.
What were you
What's your
listening to
favorite-
when you was high?
Now, I want you to listen to what's said next. Listen closely to what she's specifically asked, what she specifically answers.
Harris politely laughs, but then makes eye contact with Envy.
What was on? What song?
Oh my goodness.
Did you hear what was just asked? Did you hear? Let's go back.
What was on? What song?
Oh my goodness.
Somebody says, was it Snoop? Was, not is. Not because the question is, what does Kamala Harris listen to? This specific question was it Snoop? Following up on Charlemagne's question of what did you listen to when you got high? Past tense. Remember, the original question from DJ Envy, is that his name? Is that what they said? Was, what do you listen to? This was it Snoop?
What was on? What song?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, definitely Snoop.
Was it Snoop? Definitely Snoop. But there's our press, man, running interference for her a year and a half ago. A year and a half. This video itself is from February 13th, 2019. This is the one, I'll throw it into chat so you guys can go make sure I didn't lie about what they were doing with the other people. But this is the kind of shit that we see. And you're going to see a lot of this. Somebody will tell you, no, the Washington Post already debunked that. Mark my fucking words. You're going to hear that's been debunked. That's been debunked. It hasn't been. Hasn't been. But that's what you're going to hear. Let me grab that clip that somebody else asked for. Frank, here's the clip you asked for, the Tulsi Gabbard moment. There you go. She lied about getting high, which, like I said, it's not a big deal. She wants to appear cooler to the kids. That's fine. But when you then think about the fact that how many people she threw in jail over marijuana charges, she didn't go out there and fight for marijuana to be legalized. She didn't do that. You know, this cool chick who got high and listened to Snoop Dogg before anybody even knew before he knew he was a rapper. This is 4 years before Snoop released anything. But she knew. She was listening to him back then, yo. And then she becomes a prosecutor, and she doesn't come out in favor of getting rid of marijuana laws. She puts people in prison and holds them there longer than they're supposed to be. Fucking bitch. She kept a guy in prison, withheld evidence that could have got a man off death row until a judge forced it. Till a judge forced them to release it so that she didn't get embarrassed. So that she didn't have to come out and go, oh yeah, our prosecutor's fucked up. Whoops. Circus Zero says her dad flaming her for that interview was funny as hell. Yeah, her dad got very mad at that for her playing up the stereotype that Jamaicans get high. Yeah, it's funny. Go back and read it. I don't care that she got high. I really don't. I care that she's a fucking hypocrite about it. I care that she, knowing what she herself had done, put people, not just knowing what she did, but in like this case, she didn't come out and say, yeah, I got high. I regret it. It's something I probably shouldn't have done. She's like, yeah, I smoked the weed and I inhaled you guys. Well, by your own system, you should go turn yourself in to be thrown in jail, cunt. Oh, shit. Sorry, YouTube. I can't help it. With this woman, I feel it's appropriate. What she just did there, Jesus Christ. Thank you, John Miller. Is it ironic that Kamala essentially made black prisoners into slave labor? You know, it kind of is when you realize that if you go back in her family tree, there was slave owners. Oops. Yeah, sorry about that, YouTube. I did not mean to drop that word. My bad. I probably should have checked the C box, considering I was going to be talking about Kamala tonight. Whoops. I should have known better. I should have known better than to fall in love with cunt. Anyway. She's a bad choice. She's the best choice that they had, which should tell you a lot. Let's move on, shall we? Kamala Harris, without ever actually calling Joe racist, came out and called Joe Biden racist. Called him a racist. She challenged him in the first debate over school busing. Challenged him on it. How dare you? There was this little girl who needed to go to white people's school, and that little girl was me. I'm paraphrasing what she said, but go watch it. Go watch it. She also went after him for working with segregationists. Now, in fairness to Joe, he's old as fuck. Of course, there were segregationists in Congress at the time, and you can't just go, I'm not working with him on anything ever. Because any voting that ends up going that same way, you're going to be working with them, technically. Now, that doesn't mean Joe couldn't have distanced himself. Maybe he was a little too friendly with him. He did call Robert Byrd, his fucking mentor, for fuck's sake, when Byrd died. For those of you who don't know, Robert Byrd, last known member of Congress who was in the KKK. But don't worry, he was only in the KKK to fight communism. I can't believe that people actually believe that shit. I've had that argument with people. Like, back when he was alive, when he was still a fucking senator in the 90s. Like, this man was in the KKK, like, but he was only in there because of communism. Like, you believe that shit? Really? Because I got bridges to sell, and they're stocking up back here. But they did, man. They'll tell you that. This man was in the KKK. He is Joe Biden's mentor, he said. Joe's words, not mine. This is my mentor. By the way, also Hillary's mentor, if I remember correctly. It's just so funny to me watching this shit because you have this racist past of the Democrats. And yeah, the Democrats. This racist past of them coming smack dab, full speed, bus into wall, into the modern era, finally. Except it's still not. It's still fighting. That wall is still winning. That racist wall is still winning. Oh, God. So Kamala, she even says when they're on stage and she brings up the segregationist stuff, I'm not calling you a racist. Meanwhile, her surrogates at the time were out there calling Joe everything but racist. They were very careful not to use that word because they were hedging their bet that he might win and they might still want the nomination as VP. But they called him everything but racist. Mike Pence doesn't even have to try in the VP debates. All he has to do is play Tulsi Gabbard's clip and just keep replaying it. Every time it's his turn to answer a question, play that. Play it again. And when it comes to the presidential debates, Trump just has to go, hang on. I got some words from your vice president I'd like you to hear. And play her ripping into Joe for this racist shit. She's a horrible candidate. And somebody actually came out and said, I should just read the tweet. Let me read it so I don't take anybody out of context here. Where are we at? Maggie Haberman said this. In the same way that Obama asked Clinton to be Secretary of State after a brutal primary, Biden is choosing the person who dinged him hardest on stage. His team knows this and is betting people realize it's something Trump, who lives in grievance, would never do. Suggesting that they picked her, at least in part, to show that Joe can put up with some criticism. It's one thing for your vice presidential candidate or even your Secretary of State to have criticized you for your policies. Been like, I think you're wrong here. I think this is the way we should have done it. It's an entirely different thing to pick somebody who called you a racist. Like, this bitch thinks I'm a racist. And not only does she think he's a racist, Kamala Harris said she believes Joe Biden's accusers. Look it up. Kamala Harris says she believes Joe Biden's accusers. So Kamala Harris has accepted the VP nod from a man she thinks is racist and a sexual assaulter. Oops. And there's a whole bunch of liberals, my favorite one right now being Alyssa Milano, who are just praising this whole pick. Oh my God, that's so awesome. So awesome. There's a woman who says she believes Joe's accusers. Remember, one of Joe's accusers accused him of pushing him against a wall and jamming his fingers into her without her consent. Alyssa Milano, the woman who made a big deal and made sure she was seen sitting right behind Brett Kavanaugh because we needed a Me Too movement and women needed to be taken seriously when they have their accusations against people. You have a woman who told you she believes Joe's accusers, putting that aside so she can get ahead politically, which, by the way, right in line with Kamala. That makes perfect sense for Kamala. A woman who got ahead by giving head. But it doesn't make sense for a liberal feminist Democrat to be out there cheering this. She should be going, Kamala, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Hashtag me too. Nope. She had tears of joy, you guys. Bitch actually said that. Tears of joy. Tears of joy. You have a woman who called him a racist and a sexual abuser running with him. That's different than any kind of other criticism you have on the campaign trail. It's okay if you end up running with one of the people you ran against. It does a couple of things. One, they already have some name recognition. Two, they're willing to fight. Three, if they'll get on board with you, they'll be at least a decent advocate for your position. But when they're coming out and calling you a rapist and a fucking racist, maybe that's not the person you want to go, well, at least we picked her. Trump would never do that. Yeah, because Trump has some dignity. Why the fuck would you pick somebody like that? Eric Peters, thank you. Beer money, F hair. Thank you. I appreciate that. I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's a dumb pick. It is, but again, it's the best pick he had. What does that tell you about how thin the female candidates were? He did this. He's the one that said, yes, I'm going to pick a woman. There's tons of men out there. You're telling me none of them would have been better than somebody who called you a racist and a sexual assaulter? For fuck's sake. Over on the Streamlabs real quick. It's just so fun to watch. Buckshot Sancho, thank you so much. Kamala got her job as San Francisco DA by banging San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, and Brown confirmed it. Also, she went primary school near Berkeley. The district was integrated for over 10 years, yet somehow she was one of the first. I didn't know that part. Is that part true? I didn't know that she was already in an integrated district. That's funny as shit. Now, the Willie Brown stuff, I've talked about that many times. Because don't forget, Willie Brown not only helped her with the DA thing, he helped her when she decided she wanted to become Attorney General. Nuts, thank you for dropping the Streamlabs link in. How are you, sweetheart? It's just amazing to me watching this shit and watching the people try to make sense of it. The cognitive dissonance that's going on as these people are like, this was a great choice. Like, there is no world where this is a great choice. This is a good choice among the choices he had. Because there's another thing. Any of the white candidates, he couldn't have done. Sorry, honkies. YouTube, I'm white. I can say that. Sorry, honkies. You had no choice. Or he had no choice here, because if he had picked a white woman, if he didn't go with a POC, if he didn't go with a colored person, person of color. I can't believe that's a thing. I really can't. If he didn't go with a black woman or an Asian woman or somebody not white, he would have lost the black vote. This doesn't get him the black vote. This actually causes him problems with the black vote. But if he would have done that, there would have been a huge backlash and people going, you're taking us for granted. You're taking us for granted. So none of the white women could be on there. Sorry. This is the best that he had. And I don't think any of the white women that have been mentioned are any better than Kamala. I still think Kamala is the best of the group. She's not good, though. Not good at all. Natalie says AOC would have been better. Two problems there. She's not old enough to be president. And no. We should talk a little bit about that. That's a good segue into Kamala's politics. Now, we're just going to talk about the healthcare side of it. There were two times during, I believe it was the first debate, it might have been the second, two times that the candidates were asked to raise their hands. One of them, the candidates were asked, would your plan for healthcare get rid of private healthcare? Would you get rid of private healthcare? 3 people raised their hands. I don't remember the one. I want to say it was Gillibrand. Don't quote me on that, but somebody nobody cares about. The other 2 were Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris. In that same debate, a little while later, the candidates are asked, will your healthcare plan cover illegals? And everyone on the stage, including Kamala Harris, raised their hand. There's some people out there like, she's not all that left wing. She's not that far left. Yes, Kamala Harris is very far left. Somebody asked me earlier, they're like, you said whether or not you vote for Trump would depend on the vice presidential nominee. With Kamala being so left, we vote for Trump. I don't know. She's far enough left that maybe. She's far enough left. And remember, she's going to be president. If he wins, she's going to be president. It's going to happen. Kamala Harris has a horrific voting record when it comes to being far left. And she's in some metrics, she's further left than Bernie. Think about that shit. I have to dig into her deeper, to her actual political stances and stuff, before I make that decision. But yeah, she's not a good candidate. She is not a good candidate. And that goddamn laugh, Jesus fuck. That alone is a reason not to vote for her. Fuck. Harris is worse than Bernie. She's like Boss Hogg in a way. What? She just panders to far left. The problem with that part, JR, is that the one metric goes by her voting record, not just what she says. And I wish I had it in front of me. I saw it earlier today. And I don't remember who the people were who did it, but yeah, on voting record, she's left of Bernie. Ugh. Kamala Harris, your next president. Whew. Imagine that. Imagine that. God damn. She's Hillary with a 10. Look, I told you guys at the very beginning, go way back. I told you at the very beginning of this, Kamala Harris is Hillary 2.0. There's several things I meant by that. One of them is her ambition. I know we're not supposed to talk about women and their ambition, but this is a woman who literally gave up her body to try to get ahead and has now given up her principles. She's going to go with a man who assaults women, that she believes assaults women. I don't. We've talked about what I believe about Biden and all that stuff. I believe all the minor stuff. Absolutely. I do not believe he assaulted Tara Reid the way she said. That her story makes no sense. Zero. None. But we're going by what Kamala says she thinks. She believes Biden's accusers. She also said out loud, I don't think you're a racist, and then proceeded to tell him what a racist he is. So, I mean, in that regard, she sold herself out. She sold out her own principles to get ahead. That's Hillary right there. Hillary would have told you anything you wanted to hear to get elected. Kamala will do the same. I have no respect for people like that. But I think if you're looking at her politics, her actual politics, at least from what I saw of her raising her hand and what I remember of the debates, she's a far lefty. I know for a fact that Kamala has always twisted the truth at best and lies and says it's the truth. Oh, she's a liar. That's just part of that's being a politician, but she takes it to a whole new level. Now let's talk about Camel Toe's black people problem. A lot of black people that do not like Kamala Harris. And a lot of black people in California really don't like Kamala Harris. because she sent their brothers and their sisters and their dads and their mothers and their sons and their daughters to prison, over that shit she was laughing about, and then tried to hold them there. So the state could have cheaper labor, hold them there longer than they were supposed to be. There's Alpha says, but they will all support her. Don't count on that. Don't count on that. The Democrats right now are counting on people hating Trump. We'll vote for anybody but Trump. I can see black support, especially with some of the things that Biden has said recently. With his, they all think alike. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But they all think alike. And if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. In connection with hiring this woman who prosecuted blacks to keep them from ever getting out and using them for, well, basically slave labor for the state. I can see that coming in and biting them in the ass. Maybe not voting for Trump, but just going, you know what? I'm not going to vote this time. Nope. Thank you, Monk. It always surprises me that you don't vote for a real candidate. Unlike most of the U.S., you live in a swing state, so your vote actually counts. Michigan has never been won by one vote. As far as I know, the state of Michigan has never been won by one vote. Just throwing that out there. I saw somebody today, because when I was talking to Alyssa Milano, she didn't talk back. Talking at Alyssa Milano, I pointed out, you could vote third party, because there's people who don't like Trump, don't want to vote for him. Like, oh, well, there's Biden. Well, if you think he's a sexual assaulter, vote third party. And somebody came back with, oh, that's a vote for Trump. Like, yeah, and if you were a Republican, you'd tell me voting third party is a vote for a Democrat. A vote for a third party is a vote for a third party. That's what it is. And if that vote is big enough, could it cost your candidate? No. Your candidate was shitty. Your candidate cost themselves. That's what did it. Have a better candidate next time. Maybe those people who voted third party will go, oh, you know what? The Democrats or the Republicans look a lot more attractive to me this time. We'll see. Yeah, but if 1,000 people think their one vote doesn't count, it adds up. The closest presidential election that I know about was his last one, where 10,000 people made the difference. I don't think... I mean, you have to have a lot of people who are like, I'm going to vote for my wife because fuck these two guys, that it makes a difference. I'm okay with my vote not going to either candidate if I don't believe in either candidates. You're not going to argue with me that you're not going to argue me out of that. If more people actually voted their conscience instead of plugging their nose and going, all right, I'll vote for this shithead because they're the Republican or they're the Democrat, we would have a better system. We might actually get to a part where we had a third or a fourth party where people could vote for the person that they actually wanted instead of voting for the shithead that the party put up for you. And that's something I deeply support. This is Kyle. Thank you so much. Who says, hello, chat people and monkey. Hello, sir. Hope you're well. Anyhow, what? Harris... Joe Harris, 50-50, the rise of defems. And Chris says, then you ain't black. I'm definitely not black. I'm as white as it gets. So I won't be voting for Biden. Now, there's no way I would have voted for Biden. No way. When it comes to Trump, I don't think Trump has done that bad as a president. There's things I wish he'd done differently. He's taken a few. So word I want to use here. He's done some executive orders that I don't like. And I wish. I understand why he didn't attack Iran when they blew down one of our fucking drones. Well, we should have at least hit them with something at that point. And I know there's like, we don't need to go to war. I get that. But I'm tired of these shitheads. And Iran is not North Korea. With North Korea, he just flopped his dick on the table and went, let's go, let's measure. And Kim looked down and went, I'm Asian. That was the end of that. You're not going to get that kind of response from Iran. You got to smack them. And I guess trying to avoid war, he's like, it's just a drone. Okay. I would have liked some kind of response. At least take out the missile battery that did it. Took out Soleimani later, though. Yeah, and I have no problem with that. I'm glad he took out Soleimani. That was funny as shit. They're still mad about that shit. Of course they are. But you have some people in our country that say, we shouldn't have killed that man. Fuck that guy. He killed a lot of our men. I'm glad that motherfucker's dead. I'm glad the only way they could identify him is by a ring on his fucking finger. Oh, man. I don't like picking lesser of evils. You know what I mean? That's where my voting has come down to. I voted for Clinton. I voted for Bush. And in both cases, I came away like, fuck them. And then I voted for the Libertarian candidate. And like, the next time they put it in like, no. You know what? I'm going to vote for people I actually believe in. So that's what I started doing. It's just the way I do things. And I'm okay with it. And I know that pisses people off. And I know there's people on both sides who think I'm wasting my vote. That I am solely responsible for the outcome of the presidential election. I think you're responsible. I blame you, motherfuckers. You ever see those things? Don't blame me. I didn't vote, or I didn't vote for X or Y. Well, then you're part of the problem if you voted for the other side, or, I don't give a fuck. Your vote, use it how you want to. None of my problems. Would Ivanka be a better candidate than Harris? I don't know enough about her. White lies don't count like your vote. I'm not sure what that means. What is your thoughts of Joe Jorgensen? Oh, Jacqueline. I've been following her of recent. She's a Democrat who is posing as a libertarian and is doing her best to help get Joe Biden elected. That's my opinion of her. I think, especially with her bullshit tweet today, which was up for an hour and a half before she made another one that was in any way directly related to it. So today she, you know what? Let me get the tweet. Joe Jor, there she is. Let's scroll down. Is it this one? I'm glad that Joe Biden has brought another woman into the race. The vice presidency shouldn't be a boys' club. When I think about the millions of girls and young women across America, I think they deserve a voice this year when it comes to the top job in the country. You see, if there's no woman up there, women don't get a voice. Their vote goes away. Sorry. In every election where there've only been male choices, women weren't allowed to vote. This is a stupid fucking tweet. And again, going back to how Kamala Harris got to where she is now by fucking a powerful dude. It's a horrible example for women. It's a horrible example for young girls. It's a horrible example for people. But Joe says that, and she got fucking roasted over this. So an hour and a half later, she tweets out this. Harris has an abhorrent record as a prosecutor, as a senator. Biden enabled her by passing draconian racist laws that resulted in the incarceration of millions of minorities. Biden said he wanted somebody philosophically aligned with himself for VP pick, and he got it. That's somebody going, Joe, that sounds like you're rooting for the Democrats. You need to stop that. And she went, oh, shit. It's not the first time she's done that. It's not the first time she's come off as really pro-Biden. My thoughts on her, she's a Democrat in libertarian clothing, which is not going to hurt Trump, because that's just going to make libertarians be like, oh, well, shit, I'm not going to do that. Her mask slip. Yeah, right. That first tweet, I'm glad Joe picked her. And it's so complimentary. Like, are you fucking serious right now? Jesus. I want to, where's that tweet? Nope, not that one. This one. Kamala Harris tweeted this out. This was 11 hours ago, which is actually before she'd formally been named. Or is this right after she was named? I can't remember which. Either way, it says Black women and women of color have long been underrepresented in elective office, and in November we have an opportunity to change that. Let's get to work. This is before she was named, because it's actually in response to the story. That's your new vice president. I'm going to let that hang in the air for a minute. Your new vice president. Your potential new president, I'll put it that way, saying that the best way to vote for somebody is based on their vagina and the color of their skin. Don't worry about their policies, guys. Don't worry about what they're saying or doing. Take a look at their skin color and their genitals, and then you will know if they're worth voting for. We saw this in 2016. We saw it really bad in 2017. The idea that you should just vote for women. Vote for women. And now it's vote for some of them women of color. Vote them colored women in. I can't do that without laughing. I'm sorry. Vote those women of color in. Because reasons. We need to get past that. We really do. We need to get past the idea that looking at somebody's skin color or their genitals matters when you're talking about leaders. Joe Biden should be shamed, publicly shamed, for saying he was going to pick a woman vice president. Because when he was asked that, will you commit to picking a female vice president? He should have said, I commit to picking the best person for the job. Period. Because right now, you can make the argument that Kamala, whatever you want to call this woman, Miss Harris, is the best woman for the job. That's it. Not that she's the best person. No. There could be tons of women out there, or tons of men out there who are better than her. Tons. But Joe didn't go with that. That would have been the right answer to say. And would he have gotten flack for that? Sure. But then he could say, I'm going to pick the best person for the job, pick camel toe, and people, hey, at least he thought that was the best person for the job. This is the best woman for the job. That's no better than picking the best man for the job, because sometimes there might be a woman who's better at that. There might be a woman who's better qualified, who's going to make a better leader. So you go look for the best person for the job. Instead, we get Kamala Harris, the best woman in the field that Joe looked at for the job. Some of you guys out there, you have mothers and sisters and daughters and aunties that would be far better for this job than Kamala Harris. Unfortunately, they weren't up for it. Unfortunately, there's a decent chance that your next president will be Joe Biden, and shortly thereafter, your next president is going to be Kamala Harris. That should scare the shit out of you. Don't forget, guys, I am brought to you by you. If you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button, please share, and please throw a donation, because if these two get into office, my taxes are going to go up as well as yours. Good God. I've been enjoying the shit show on Twitter today. This is the stuff I live for. I love it, and I'm glad we're finally at least talking politics. There's now this Democrats are pushing this theory that Trump is going to replace Pence. Trump is going to replace Pence. And you know what? It could happen. Could happen. Probably not. Probably not going to happen. Silly monk, you don't pay taxes. No, my wife does, but it's based on both of our earnings. And so we still pay on what I make. And let me tell you, that was hurtful. Oh, God. I've been enjoying the shit show. I really have. I think it was the Palmer report who was the one that put out the thing. If Pence stays on the ticket, then his 20%, or is a 20% chance of staying on the ticket, and Nikki Haley has an 80% chance of being put on there instead. That means there's a 20% chance that Mike Pence sucked up for no reason, and then there's an 80% chance Nikki Haley sucked up for no reason. Immediately going after Nikki Haley for no reason. No reason. They did the same thing with Governor Noem. Is that how you say her name? Noem, up there in South Dakota. Democrats keep floating this idea that Trump is going to replace Mike Pence. He's got to get a woman in there in order to be able to beat Joe Biden with his woman. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the obvious. Trump beat a woman head to head. Two men versus a woman and a man, with the woman at the top of the ticket. So the idea that he's afraid of going against a woman is fucking stupid. It's just fucking stupid. But two, and far more importantly, Donald Trump really, really, really values loyalty. And Mike Pence has been loyal as a motherfucker. You can't point to any. The closest you can come to is the media trying to make some shit out of Pence not supporting directly what Donald Trump said. Him doing some politics to be like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that shit. I'm not going to touch that one. He can have that one. Pence will refuse to be in a debate with a woman, or alone with a woman. You know, he's got a lot of shit over that. And watching all the stuff that's happened, watching the people who get accused of rape or sexual assault, do you think Joe Biden would have the accusations against him if his wife had been there every time he was interacting with women? I'm betting not. I don't. Yeah, exactly, Viking. The Pence rule is pure wisdom. Fuck yeah. And then there's other people that have problems because he calls her mother. That's a thing old people do. My neighbors back in Virginia used to call each other that. He used to call his wife mother. And it's not that they have some mom-dad fetish. That's not what it is. It comes from when they're raising your kids. When you're talking to your wife, you often refer to her as mom or mother, trying to get her attention. And some of them just hang on to it. And so there's, he does it. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it might be outdated, but there's nothing weird about it. And as for him not wanting to be alone in a room without his wife, I don't blame him for that shit. Look at what's going on. Look at what Kavanaugh went through. Look what these people go through when they don't do that. A woman at any time. Don't get yourself alone in a room with a woman. What the fuck are you thinking? My grandfather still calls his wife mom too. Yeah, it's not that weird. But oh man, there's people having some fun with that. He won't be alone with her. Well, no, the moderators would be there. That's how debates work. Who the fuck you think is asking questions? Jesus. I'm not some big fan of Pence. I just think Pence gets a lot of shit he doesn't deserve because he's Donald Trump's vice president. Nobody even fucking knew of Pence before he became Trump's vice president. Then everybody became an expert on him. He didn't even run for the presidency. He was a barely known entity. And now, like, he won't be alone with a woman. Yeah. That's why you don't see any of them saying he did anything wrong. None of them could. How smart would the rest of the look, I'm telling you people, men, get chaperones. If you're with a woman, have your chaperone there. I'm just telling you, it's for your own good. Whether it's your wife, your mom, a friend, whatever it is, have a chaperone there. We're back to those times because there's witch hunts going on and you don't want to be tied to the pole with fire set around your feet. You don't want them to see if you float. Anyhow, that's what a wingman is needed for. Get a wing woman. Get a wing woman. Because people are more willing to believe a woman than a man when it comes to that shit. Kamala fucking Harris, man. Kamala Harris. This does open the question of if Biden becomes the nominee or the president, what's it called when they're president before they're inaugurated? I forget what we call him. President-elect. That's the word I'm looking for. If he becomes the president-elect, who is he going to pick for his cabinet? And we saw some movements that give us some indications. Buster's Outlaws, thank you so much. He says 1,000 shot in New York this year. Congrats, New York City. Good job, guys. We'll get to some more news in a minute. We'll get to some of that stuff. But who will he pick for his cabinet? Involved Potato, thank you so much. Who says, I was just looking up Pence because I forgot he existed and he's 13 years younger than Trump. I always thought he was older. I don't know if Trump looks younger than he is or Pence looks older than he is. Pence has that, he looks like an older statesman. And Trump does look younger. Trump is in his 70s, for fuck's sake. Yeah. Recently, we saw Gretchen Whitmer fly out to see Joe Biden. That was probably just him saying, yeah, I'm not going to hire you. But there's a good chance he's like, I'm not going to hire you, but we have a cabinet position for you. There was a flight from South Bend, Indiana. Good chance that we're talking about Mayor Pete. He could be tapped for something. We saw Bernie Sanders fly in. The fuck you think they're going to pick Bernie for? Commerce Department. You got quite a few of these people that you've seen and heard of lately. Stacey Abrams might end up being like Secretary of State. They'll probably make Bernie state. He's an older statesman, so bring in Pete Buttigieg as defense secretary. Yeah, think of the names that you got. Treasury, yeah, there you go for Bernie. Oh. At least at the meeting with Biden, you had bread. Exactly, Dangerous. Yeah, his incoming cabinet is almost scarier than him and his VP. Good fucking God. Frank, thank you so much. Put Bernie in charge of finances. Yeah, make him commerce, treasury. Oh, fuck. Oh, you just made me want to vomit, monkey. Sorry, this is what's happening, man. Look at what's going on. Don't just look at them. Don't just look at them. Look at who Biden's people. Yeah, Biden's people. Look who the string pullers are going to be looking at for these different cabinet positions. and what's going to be happening there. It's not just Biden and Kamala. The more I think about this, the more I'm like, I'm probably voting Trump. I'm sorry. This is some scary shit. I don't mean to laugh, but you're talking about bringing full-on commies into the federal government in a non-elected position. I mean, with Kamala, it would be an elected position. And again, I don't know that she's full-blown commie. I'll have to look more into that. But if you bring Bernie into the fucking campaign, if you bring him into the cabinet, you're putting commies in the executive. Not even one who's trying to hide it, you know? This administration, they'll make AOC Secretary of Education. No. That will be Elizabeth Warren. Mark my words. If he wins, Warren will be tapped for education. She's been touting the education. I was a teacher. We need teachers doing teacher stuff. You know, the teachers who made their own obituaries because they might have to go back to fucking work. AOC is energy. I could see that, Faithless. Yeah. Shark, thank you so much. Who says Biden cabinet equals Woodmark, Craftmade, and Hampton Bay. I don't get that reference. It's probably something I should know and don't. Look, there's some things I should know that I just don't. I'm not a smart man. Oh, God damn it. Those are actual cabinet makers. Stop it. How dare you? Fucker. But thank you, Shark Dentures, for the thing. Now let's talk about because we were mentioned, or was mentioned in a super chat just a little bit ago from Buster. The number of people who have been shot in New York City this year. Let's talk about that for a minute. Some people have been asking, like, what's with the changes in some of these mayors? Thank you, ex-Bubba Hotep. If they put some police abolitionists as AG, I'm moving to a cabin on a mountain. Oh, you know it's coming. You think it would be out of bounds to think maybe AG Lightfoot? And I bring her up for a reason. Lightfoot has suddenly turned against protesters. And people are like, why? Do you remember what Ted Wheeler said the other day? Remember what he said? They were going to, there were protesters trying to box police into their police station, make it so they couldn't get out, and set it on fire. They wanted to have a police flambe. And Ted Wheeler came out and said, you guys are going to kill people. And then he said, instead of saying, don't kill people, it's wrong, he said, you're going to help Trump win. You're going to help Trump win. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here because they're trying to get a lid on the crowd. When was that, says Tyler? That was what, 5 days ago? Last Wednesday. It was last Wednesday when when they tried to box him in and set him on fire, and it was Thursday, I believe, that Wheeler made his comments. Excuse me. It's going to be interesting to see how these mayors who have been helping to push this shit, who have been encouraging this violence without actually saying, yeah, go out there and, kill people. It's going to be interesting to see how they try to bring these mobs under control because they can't do it with police. That just makes the mob worse, remember? But they also can't have it. You do not want Donald Trump being the law and order guy when the best thing about Kamala, the best thing you can do is point and go, oh, she was a prosecutor. She has a law and order pedigree. You don't want that. Because that makes you look like a fucking moron. It will be interesting to see how these protesters, these all cops are bastard protesters, respond to Kamala Harris being named as the vice president when a lot of the shit that they whine about she was one of the worst perpetrators of. She sent people to jail left and right, man. Well, Bernie is licking the Kamala boot. I don't know which boot we're talking about there. Evolved Potato, thank you. Communists can't be terrible people because communists aren't people. That's a fair assessment. They're shitbags is what they are. She was the prosecutor that withheld evidence, but we won't talk about that. It's going to be interesting to see how the press talks about her. And we already know because they ignored most of this stuff when she was running. Look, Kamala was the press's choice to be president. They wanted Kamala bad. They came out pushing her hard until Biden got in the race. And then the press is like, oh, Biden's going to win this. We know he's going to win this. There's no reason to back anybody else. But then they still low-key kind of backed Elizabeth Warren, especially, once Camel Toe dropped out. But it'll be interesting to see how the protesters respond to this. You think they're just going to go home and be like, oh, well, we finally got a law and order person in here. Everything will be fine. I have a feeling that that's not going to happen. I have a feeling, if anything, this is going to alienate them, which is going to make the job of stopping these rioters a lot harder. I wonder if there's going to be, because they're not having an actual convention, are they? They're having one of the virtual ones, I think. Kamala's a bad choice for a lot of reasons. Picking her right now, especially with all the rioting and stuff going on, rioting against police is just like, are you fucking serious? No one nowhere says, can't wait for the John Ward video on this. No shit. John, if you're out there, I can't wait either, man. He's going to have a field day with this shit if he wants to. There's tons of stuff out there to get on this silly bitch. The last thing I want to talk about with Kamala Harris. Shit, I forgot what it was. Fuck. It keeps getting into my mind and then it drops back out. So eventually it'll get back into my mind. Oh, no, I got it. Executive orders. Executive orders. I should have just went through my list because there's a video of it. At least the part that I want to highlight. There's more to it than just this. But we talked about this at the time and throughout her very limited candidacy. This is an exchange that she had during one of the debates. I don't know which one this is. Unfortunately, sorry guys. But here it is. This was the ABC News debate. There's Camel Toe. Here we go.
Vice President Biden has said about executive orders. Some really talented people are seeking the nomination. They said, I'm going to issue an executive order. Biden saying there's no constitutional authority to issue that executive order when they say I'm going to eliminate assault weapons, saying you can't do it by executive order any more than Trump can do things when he says he can do it by executive order. Does the vice president have a point there?
Kamala Harris is one of the worst of the people who insisted she would just do everything through executive order. Look at that look on her face. Like, well, you can't tell me what I can do. Literally, you can't do it. And she's being asked about this. Joe Biden's the one who said that. Joe Biden is the one who said, you cannot do this shit. You can't just sign it with a pen. Here we go.
Some things you can, many things you can't.
Let's let the senator answer.
Well, I mean, I would just say, hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can.
Let's be constitutional.
Instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can. That's her answer to violating the Constitution. This was when she wanted to be president. This is when she's trying to be your president, you guys. Instead of saying, no, we can't, to violating the fucking Constitution, let's say yes, we can. And Joe right there said, let's be if it's constitutional. I agree with Joe in that part. This is why I say that if things were, all things being equal, Joe Biden would have been your best candidate. If we had to have a Democrat, we were asked this many, many times, but if you had to have a Democrat, which one would you want? And I said, Joe Biden. And the reason I said that is Joe Biden is an old school politician. Even though he would move things to the left, he would at least try to keep it, you know, from going to the point where it's like, you're a communist. Nobody wanted to be called a communist when Joe was coming up. I mean, his mentor joined the Klan to keep communists away. I'm sorry, that amuses the fuck out of me. But anyway, Joe would be the most rational because he's the old school. You're not going to see as much movement. It would have been the right choice if Joe hadn't gone senile, which he has. Which means right now, who's actually pulling the strings? Who's actually going to be your president until they 25th this motherfucker? Nobody knows. Nobody knows who's pulling Joe's strings right now. Somebody is. Somebody is. And then Joe's going to be gone and you're going to have this wench. Joe's the dumbest guy to ever serve in the Senate or VP. Compared to all of the other Democrats who were on that stage, Joe was the safe choice. If you were a conservative and you're like, I don't want any of these people, but I have to choose one, Joe would have been the right one to go with because, like I said, Joe's old school. But in this case here, in this case right here, Joe's trying to explain to her, bitch, you can't do that. We have a constitution. It tells us where we can and cannot do things. You can't just sign an executive order that says we are outlawing assault weapons. That's what she wants to do, you guys. And she wanted to do it with an executive order because she knew it wouldn't go through Congress. And back then, I wish I could pull my history up that far back. But Kamala Harris over and over and over again was just like, you know, I will just do that by executive order. I will just do that by executive order. She wants to be queen. She does. She's not out. She wasn't out to be your president. She wanted to be Queen of America. Do it all by her say alone. That shit that they keep saying Trump is, that authoritarian prick, that was going to be her. And if she wins, that is going to be her. And I say if she wins because we all know if Biden wins, Kamala just became president. That's just fact. They're going to 25th this motherfucker. Whether he actually dies or not, doesn't matter. They're going to 25th him. I don't know that it would even take 6 months. There's some people, 6 months. I'm not sure it'll even take that long. They're going to come in and go, he's not there. And do you think, because you need the vice president to sign on in these things, do you think Kamala, the woman who fucked the guy to get ahead, the woman who's now running with a guy she thinks is a racist and a sexual assaulter, isn't going to sign on for that to get ahead? You know, they tried pulling, supposedly some people in the Trump administration tried pulling that, and Pence is like, go fuck yourselves. You think Kamala's going to be that way? You think she's going to be that loyal to Joe? Fuck no. She's going to be like, where do I sign? Where do I sign? I'm ready to take my oath right now. President Kamala Harris doing everything by executive order. Now, here's the thing. Just because she does it by executive order doesn't mean it stays. You can fight against executive orders. The issue becomes, in order to fight it, it has to go through a court process. You might get it stayed in the first court, depending on where it goes through. And it's got to go before the Supreme Court. Do you trust Roberts Do you trust fucking Roberts not to go along with an assault weapon ban to keep the children safe? Even though if you actually look at the fucking studies or look at the actual fucking numbers, handguns kill more people by far than any assault weapon. By far. What is it? Something like 7,000 to a couple of hundred, something like that each year. Yeah. You are far more likely to get shot with a handgun than you're going to get shot with a fucking assault rifle. But yeah, she's going to do it all. Elizabeth Warren was the same way. Elizabeth Warren was like, no, I will do a executive order. You can't do that. We have a system. We have a fucking system. And if she were to pass something like that, like, okay, assault weapon ban, done. It goes through the courts and it goes up in front of Roberts. You trust Roberts to be like, that's unconstitutional? I don't trust Roberts as far as my cripple ass could throw him. That motherfucker, all you have to do is make some whiny crybaby argument and he'll be like, fuck the Constitution. Fuck that Constitution. Mighty Balzac, thank you. I've seen the video. She has at least two faces. Are you talking about Kamala? Did you guys see the rumor going around or the guess going around that she knew she was going to get this? Excuse me. And that's why she got a facelift. She knew she was getting in there, so she had to go make herself prettier. Yeah. Whew. It's interesting if you look at the timeline, because that was like, what, 2 weeks ago? And Joe Biden came out and told us that he was going to tell us his VP choice at the beginning of August. And some weird shit happened. It gets pushed back nearly 2 weeks. What's today? Today is the, God, where's my calendar? It takes him till the 11th to name her. Now, I originally thought, and I still do, I think Kamala was going to be their choice. And then the name Karen Bass started getting pushed around. And there was enough of a fight internally in his campaign that they're like, okay, let's take a serious look at Karen. And they were close to naming Karen when all that communist shit came out about her praising Castro and going and hanging out in Cuba all the time. And they're like, okay, fuck it, we're going back to Camel Toe. And that's why it got pushed back. But it is possible that they saw that facelift and went, fuck, we can't announce her when she looks like that. She looks like the evil guy from the Saw movies, for fuck's sake. I will push it back. Push it back. Like, bitch, what'd you do to your face? We can't announce you when you look like that. Like, howdy fucking doody, for fuck's sake. Oh, God, that was a bad face job with that collagen or whatever the fuck she got put in her face. Karen Bass is a communist Karen. You're not wrong. Oh, man. Wouldn't that be funny if that's why they did it? Like, no, we picked her weeks ago, but I don't think that's true simply because the flight from Michigan to to Delaware just happened this week. That's why I still think it was about the Karen Bass thing. But that facelift story just makes it even funnier. But yeah, I don't know. Now let's talk about the Democrats being in league with the press. Politico, more than 2 weeks ago now, released a story saying Joe Biden had picked Kamala Harris as his running mate, as the DNC's vice presidential candidate. And then they quickly took it back. No, we didn't mean that. Whoops, our bad. And it all happens around the same time that Karen Bass's name starts getting up. That's why the timeline fits so well. If you actually look at the timeline of when they're talking about who, they released this story, and this is at the point where the Biden campaign is fighting over Karen Bass. And this is all known. This is stuff that, I mean, you have leaks within the campaign. It's not quite as leaky as a Trump campaign. Jesus, fuck Trump. For somebody who values loyalty so much, Trump has a bad time hiring anybody who's fucking loyal. Anyway, you have this timeline, and it just makes more sense that it was always going to be Kamala. There was a hiccup where they're like, for some reason, Kamala isn't right. And then they go back to Kamala. And you have this article from Politico, which I think was probably right on the money. At that time, they knew it was going to be her, and they were just trying to get the scoop. And that it probably was even supposed to be announced that day. But then the Biden campaign called them up. Guys, no. We're not sure on that now. We have some questions. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. That's the behind the scenes politics. And I still don't understand why this shit is so secretive. I mean, you're talking about the vice presidential pick. This is somebody the whole world is about to get to know, at least for a few months. I mean, if they lose, nobody remembers. Who remembers Tim Kaine or anything he said during the presidential campaign? Right. Thank you, Mighty Balzac. VP Karen, I weep for those unborn memes. I know, right? That's all right. We have plenty of them with Kamala Harris. She's such a bad candidate. Fuck. Oh, my God. We have some questions like, what happened to your face, right? That would be great. The whole problem with this, the whole problem with picking her, is it doesn't help his campaign. The only way it helps his campaign is that it doesn't piss off the black voters. Unless you keep calling her Asian, guys, seriously, you might want to stop that. Throwing that out there, because you're going to be upsetting the black community who feels like you finally threw them a bone. Did you? I don't know. I'm very curious who made this decision, because Joe didn't do it. I'm sorry. Joe did not pick Kamala unless they like put a bunch of pictures in front of him, and whichever one he drooled on first is the one he picked. Otherwise, somebody else made this pick. But for a few months, this is going to be one of the most scrutinized people in the world. And they treat it like it's a national secret when it happens. Gamer Vleen, thank you. She got the Bette Midler face package. She looks so bad. Thank you for the donation. Yeah, that was not a good look. I don't understand why it's so secretive, though, because it makes no sense for it to be so. You're talking about, I mean, what do you guys think of the idea that the vice president, instead of just being picked by the president, that it should be some kind of competition with? Isn't it weird that we have a vice presidential debate, but you don't have that within the parties? The party picks the president, and the president just goes, that person. Isn't that weird? Shouldn't there be some kind of competition there? A public competition, not them, sucking up behind the scenes. I feel like that would be a little bit more productive. Why wouldn't you do that? Have your presidential one, and have people vote vice president too. Now, the way we used to do it the way we used to do it with the country. You know what I mean? With the country, it used to be whoever got first place was president, second place was vice president. Bad idea. But on a party level, that might be a little bit better. Or at least, you vote for president and for vice president when you do your vote. I don't know. They don't want a VP that outshines them. Well, that's fair, but that still doesn't matter why. I mean, it doesn't make sense why it's such a secret. I find it odd. You have a president. It should be a queen, says Odin. How dare you? Well, we're going to have Queen Kamala soon if Biden wins. Don't worry. Off with his head. Let them eat cake. Why do y'all still have queens? I understand that it's part of your culture, and I think it's probably a good thing that it is. But it's such a weird, as somebody who grew up in America, it's such a weird concept. Nobility. Such nobility to us is an action. For you guys, it's a family. Oh man. And there's been some weird kings and queens in your time. Holy shit. Well, BLM is donating to Biden. They are also ironically donating for a cop. Well, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier, John. With Kamala being the choice, your BLM activists, they have a real issue. You went not just with a cop, but one of the ones who is probably the worst about the violations you talk about throwing black men in jail. She locked up a lot of black people, y'all. A lot of them. By the way, Kamala Harris also thinks we should have a conversation about whether or not the Boston bombers should be allowed to fucking vote. How do you guys feel about felons voting? I don't know if I've ever asked you guys. Give me a 1 if you think felons in prison, not talking about once they get released, that's a different story, but felons in prison, should they be allowed to vote? Give me a 1 for yes, a 2 for no. I'm very curious. It's sad when your black candidate has done less to help black incarcerated than Kim Kardashian. Right? Yeah, we got a bunch of 2s. That's what I was thinking. I have no problem with once you're in prison, you don't get to vote. Sorry. You pissed away a shit ton of your rights when you did that. Above voting, you have the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, you know. Once we take away that liberty because you've been a shitbag, well, that's your fault. Oh, no. Thank you over on the Streamlabs, Alpha Omega, who says, looking forward to more of that Crusader Kings 2 where you bed all those wenches. You know, dick diplomacy kind of backfired on me last night. That man, why wouldn't they kill that old man? Oh my God. He's 70 now, isn't he? Like 70 something? Okay, this is about the game. Guys, I've been playing Crusader Kings 2 over on my game channel, and I have a bunch of fun with it. It's a complete nerd game. It's like Risk for nerds. And I'm okay with being a nerd. I don't understand the game as well as I should, which makes it a lot more fun. There's a lot of people like, you need to learn how to play this game. Like, shh. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. On my offline game, dick diplomacy's been working pretty well, actually. And I've taken over some areas that I wanted to. I'm almost at the part of making my own duchy. But dick diplomacy in my online game, whew, for those of you who don't know, what's dick diplomacy? I'm banging everybody. I am banging everyone. No, diplomacy is Risk for nerds. I said it's like a Risk for nerds, and I think that's a fair assessment. Risk isn't for nerds. That's why Risk is for nerds, but I'm trying to make the point here that it's even more nerdy. And if you go play EU2, which is probably even a more Risk kind of game because it's more about taking over countries, it's another Risk for nerds. That's what these games are, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. But guys, if you enjoy that kind of thing or enjoy me just bantering and you want to see me just be a complete shitbag of a person, yeah, watch the game stream. It's over on Ranting Monkey Games, which I believe is linked somewhere in the description. And we will be doing when I'm done with this, which, well, we got a little bit more time. What's on your guys' minds? Anything we need to talk about? Because I'm not out of stuff to say about this. I just don't want to be repeating myself. And so much of what it is just minor things that I missed here and there. Kamala Harris, let's just put it this way. She is a bad candidate, but still the best of the group that they were talking about, which is Seattle. What about it? Are with Chief Best retiring, or stepping down because they kind of fucked her and they're getting rid of 100 police. Seattle's screwed. Not as bad as Portland. Well, I don't know. Which one do you guys think is screwed more, Portland or Seattle? Because in Portland, you just had the DA of the county come out and say, I'm not prosecuting anybody who's arrested in these riots and stuff. The only thing he's considering, like, we'll look very hard. We'll scrutinize it if it's a police officer's been hurt or been attacked. We'll scrutinize that. Space being racist. That's some moronic shit. That's some really moronic shit. But I'm not shocked by it. Kiever Dam, I didn't see that, and it's not something I talk about on this show. Did you already talk about the Seattle police chief? We talked about that a lot yesterday, actually. We talked more about Best stepping down yesterday. So the short answer is I don't blame her. The short answer is I'm surprised she didn't do it sooner. And the short answer is there's a lot of people who are going to end up hurt because of what Seattle's doing. Both just their town being destroyed and actually physically violated. Sorry, guys. I asked you guys what you want to think, and it's fuck. Is the DNC the American version of the CCP? No. Parts of it, but not the whole thing. Have you heard anything about the shooting at the White House, Monkey? I didn't even really look into it. I know there was a shooting and that the Secret Service took the guy down. He lived, didn't he? Or at least last I heard. But just some rando who was... what was he pissed off about? I saw what he was pissed off about, but I don't remember. That's how much I cared about it. Trump was safe. He never actually got close to the White House, so fuck that guy. If Carmen Best had any balls, she'd have called out Durkin publicly and explicitly. She should have, but she did what she thought was best for her. And she doesn't want to be the one that's the chief of that place when it all goes to shit, when they lose 100 cops. And her salary was reportedly cut, $19,000. So it's like, we're taking money from you and fucking you over. Good luck. And she's like, nah, fuck y'all. She should have done that. She should have done it sooner. She should have done that when CHOP happened. Barack on Kamala Harris as VP. Joe Biden nailed his decision. Interesting choice of words, especially given her. What do you think about Chicago riots that are going on? Fuck. In a weird way, it's a good thing. Because the Chicago riots, and I talked about this yesterday or the day before, usually this shit is happening in downtown areas, but not in like very rich neighborhoods and stuff. These Chicago riots, they are going after very wealthy businesses. They don't after Tesla, for fuck's sake. They are destroying the money of that city. And unfortunately, that's what it's going to get to take. Those fucking mayors don't care if poor people are hurt by this shit. They didn't give a fuck that Wheeler out there in Portland didn't give a fuck that these assholes were in basically a homeless encampment and just getting it fucking pepper sprayed every fucking night. They don't care about little people. You start hitting their money, the stuff with like, oh, these are people who donate to my campaign. They're going to care. So in a weird way, it's a good thing, and that maybe they'll care. And from what we've seen of Lightfoot so far, that certainly seems to be the case. Let's see. I'm still pissed off that Michigan, New York, and Pennsylvania killed the elderly with their stupidity or intent. If you're talking about, putting old folks in, or putting sick folks in the old folks home, there's no reason for that. That is just sick. It's degeneracy. That was killing old people. It's absolutely what it was. And then to find out New York is actually lying about their numbers of how many people got sick and died because of it. That's fucked up. The one home that they looked at that they had the numbers for in that article, 4 reported dead, but the number of old people who actually got the disease and then died was actually 21, 5 times higher. What they were doing is if somebody got so sick that they were transferred to a hospital, they weren't counting them. And yeah, it's disgusting. What about the New York City beer garden being shut down for not following? Oh, that got retracted right as I was reading it. Damn it. So what's going on with the second stimulus check? Any updates? No. Donald Trump was talking about it in the press conference he gave today. Somebody asked him about people being evicted next month. Evictions are coming up for next month. He's like, I did an executive order that's taken care of. And are they any closer? Not that anyone's heard. They're dragging their feet, pointing blame at each other. I think it'll happen. At this point, both sides seem willing to spend some money. I think both sides have plans to give money, but how much it's going to be and when, I think it's up in the air. And nobody's in a rush to do it because they're not getting any kind of real push on it. Them BLM leaders backed the looting. Yeah, did you guys see that? Was it the BLM leader that was in that video came out and called it reparations? Like, this is just reparations. When you steal from Gucci, that's just reparations. I'm paraphrasing to fuck here, but that's what they said. That's reparations for black folks, is them stealing other people's property. The oldest beer garden in New York City has been shut down for violating Cuomo's COVID rules. I'm not shocked. I mean, if you're violating these rules right now, that's going to happen. I don't like the rules. What was it it's Los Angeles where they're like, if you have parties or a business that has too many people in it, we're going to shut off your water and power. And that's some shit. There's not much you can do to fight back against it, unfortunately. This is what happens when your government gets too big. I don't need a stimulus check. I never quit working. Well, Alpha Omega, if you get one, you can send it all to me because I could use it. Do you think Biden has a bigger pussy than Harris? Or is it the dementia? I think Biden has a wiener, and I think he's used it more than we want to know about. If you're talking about figuratively, I don't think he's a pussy. I think he's an old man Biden wasn't a pushover when he was, I'd mentioned this on one of these streams and it got brought up in a Lords of the Night stream. And I mentioned it to Scribe, like, go watch how Biden was 15 years ago, 12 years ago, 10 years ago. Go watch his speech when he left the Senate and look at him then and look at him now. And the difference in this man, the difference in him. Yeah, we all get older and we get a little more feeble and stuff, but no, he's not the same guy. He's not a pussy. He never was. I mean, he's always been a liar. He's always been somebody who exaggerates to the extreme and for no fucking good reason. But he's not the same guy. Fine, reparations paid, never speak of it again. You know that's not how it works. Alpha Omega said, did you see Crowder's last Change My Mind? I saw the beginning part of it. I didn't see an actual change my mind. I saw when they first sat down, the clip that they put up where they first sat down and there's that asshole with the microphone and the speaker with him. That's the only part I saw. Oh my God, excuse me. I'm so sorry, guys. I took my medicine right before the show and now it's kicking in. They arrested 2 more Antifa today from the Fort Collins stomping, both from out of town. I'm not familiar with the Fort Collins stomping. Biden was a capable politician. Yes, exactly. That doesn't mean I support the man. It doesn't mean I agree with the man, but he knew his job and did it well. And by that, I don't mean he passed good legislation. I mean, as a politician, he was a good politician. Or, as you said, capable politician. He's just, it's so sad to watch. It is so sad to watch. I've said this before and I want to say it again. No matter what you think of Biden, what is it, 30 some years of service to his country in civil service? That's enough. Thank you for your service, sir. Go retire. You should be on a beach in Tahiti right now, sipping drinks that you don't even know what they are. So drunk, nobody can tell you have dementia. So, I have no doubt in my mind that Biden was forced to run this time. I think Biden was forced out 4 years ago and forced in this time. Joe Biden, his best bet would have been running right after Barack Obama. You run right after your president can't run anymore. That would have been his best choice. But instead, they said, it's Hillary's turn. It's Hillary's turn. Barack took it from her 8 years ago. Barack didn't take it from her. She was a horrible candidate then. 4 years ago was his best chance. And then they look at the field this time and they're like, oh shit. None of these motherfuckers can take Trump. Trump is going to make mincemeat out of all of them. Their best candidate besides Biden going into this, simply on name recognition, was Bernie fucking Sanders. A guy who lost to Hillary even if they hadn't have cheated him. They did cheat him, but he was going to lose anyway. That was their best candidate. Name recognition matters. And then you look at the other people who got up on that stage. Fuck Kamala and Liz and Kirsten and fucking Eric Swalwell. And they're like, oh, we need Joe to run. Joe, please run. Please run. And I think he got forced into it. I don't think that's where he wants to be. Jane says, can I get a happy birthday? What life advice would you offer to a 26-year-old? Thanks for your streams. What would I first, let's do this. This one's yours. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jane. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I hope you have a great one. I really do. Life advice at 26. You know what? Seriously? When I was 26, some of the mistakes I made, and probably the biggest mistake I made, was thinking that I didn't have any options. That I was already getting too old to change things. And at 26, you shouldn't think that way. At 26, you should be looking at all the options you have. And don't be afraid to go for them. Don't be afraid to go for them. There's two different schools of thought on fear when it comes to doing things you want. One is fear of success and one is fear of failure. I don't know which one I'm the part of, but whatever it is, it was definitely, it hit me. When I was about 25, I ran into some old people that I used to, well, not old people, but people I used to know on MySpace. On MySpace. And I started talking to them. I went to high school with these people. One of them was getting ready to enter a PhD program, and the other one had already become a teacher. And I was doing a job I didn't like, a job I hated, a job that I felt was killing me inside. But when I looked around, it's like, it's too old to like go back to college. I'm too old to jump into something new, you know? And it was, and my whole brain just blew up. It's like, you know what? Don't think like that. Go out there and find something you want to do. Find a passion and go for it. The worst that happens is you fail. And you know what? Failure's not so bad. I'd also tell you, live below your means. 26, live below your means. As far below them as you can actually get away with and still be eating. If you have debt, get it paid as quickly as possible. Get paid. And live below your means. Save money. Save money and invest. Whether it's buying real estate, which, by the way, guys, is still a good way to make money. Or dipping your toes into the stock markets, which I cannot give you any advice on. Save money and invest. Don't just save money. Too many people just save money. Saving money does nothing for you. It sits in a bank, and the bank makes money off of it. The bank makes interest off your money. You don't. So, yeah, find something you want to do that you enjoy, whether it's actually a career or you marrying somebody who has a career, whichever. I don't care. And that goes for men or women. But save. Saving is important. But yeah, happy birthday. And I hope that helps. And finally, for advice, with where we live now, not because you're 26, be careful what you say on social medias. That doesn't mean you can't have your opinion. Just be careful on how you express it, because that shit can come back and bite you in the ass. Didn't you already have a wife and kid by that time, Monkey? I think you had already made your choice. I had a wife and 3 kids at that time. By the time I was 25, I had 3 children. And no, I didn't make my choice. That's not what I wanted to be doing. This kind of shit is what I wanted to be doing. Seriously. I looked into a degree in journalism. And not written journal. I wanted to be on TV. Because I'm pretty and I have a good voice. And I wanted to be on radio. I have always wanted to be heard. Always wanted to be heard. But I didn't know how to do it. And instead of looking, I sometimes have a defeatist attitude about stuff. But it was okay. I was making good money to pay for, by that time, we'd got the house and things were going well. So I was like, don't get content. That's another thing I'll tell you. It's okay to be happy, but don't settle for content. He is monkey, hear him roar, right? I've always wanted to be heard. I can't help it. Since I was little, man. I'm not kidding when I tell you guys, what'd you want to be when you grow up? Batman. That was my answer for a long time. And then as I got older, like, what'd you want to be? Famous. Everybody else out there, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be a businessman. Those things seem so boring to me. Not that they're not important, but so boring to me. It's just not who I am. My sister one time, I have several foster sisters. This is the one I was closest to, the one I actually grew up with. She said to me one time, didn't you know we were always going to be blue collar? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, that has never been in my plan. Fuck no. Bastard says I wanted to rule the world, right? I had big ambitions. My problem was my follow through. And my mom dying is probably why none of that stuff ever happened. Why I never made something of myself earlier that I wanted to be, Because she was my motivation as I was younger. If mom wasn't there, then they're like, fuck it, I'll just fuck off all day. Natalie says, I wanted to be a pop star. Yeah, see, I was ambitious. I wanted to be famous and rich. Rich was a big part of that. And that's part of being Batman, you know. Batman's rich and famous. I wanted to be a mad scientist or an assassin. How do we know you're not? I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle when I was a kid. Nothing wrong with that. They were cool, man. They were cool. Mind you, until I was like 17. Can you sing, Natalie? Do you have a good singing voice? You guys have heard me sing. You guys have never really heard me sing. I can sing decent. I'm not a very good singer, but I can sing decent. I just on the show, I think it's funnier to sing poorly, because why not? I don't mind making a fool out of myself. That's another thing I feel like you have to be willing to make a fool out of yourself if what you seek is fame and fortune. I'm never going to find fortune doing this, but right now there's 257 people watching me, which is more than I ever thought possible. Like, nobody's ever going to listen to the stupid shit I say. When I started this, I honest to God, it's like I'll be lucky if I ever get 100 people. 100 people watching my videos. And I've been very fortunate at how that has worked out. But it was always the goal. The goal is still to be bigger than PewDiePie, you guys. Monks, do you play the lottery? From time to time. We talked about this the other night. I see nothing wrong with the lottery. To me, it's no different than going to a casino or playing blackjack with your friends, or it's gambling. It's no different than buying stocks. Spend $1, but never do it. Never do it where it's something you do every day or every week or what do they do? 4 drawings a week for the big ones here. We have Mega Millions and the Powerball. There's 4 drawings a week. That's one of them costs $2. So what is that? For $6 a week. That can be better spent. But if every once in a while you're like, fuck it, I'm going to do the lottery. Yeah, have fun. Eric says only if it's over 100 million. You know, I've never understood that about people. I'll only play the lottery if it's over such and such. Like, okay, it starts at, what does it start at now? $2 million, something like that. I don't know about you, but $2 million, half of it goes to the government. If you take just the payout, it'll be just under $1 million, something like that. That would completely change my life. They're both $2 now. Oh, I didn't know that. Got to get that starting jackpot up, right? But if like I won $10 million, that would be more than enough for me for life. 5 million, more than enough for life. If I find $1 or $2, I'll toss it to the lottery. Otherwise, I don't play. I don't begrudge people who don't play. I do have a problem with the people like, you should never play the lottery. That's just throwing money away. Let's talk about the ways you gamble. Let's talk about how you gamble. Silly question. Did you do an OBS tutorial already, or did I miss it? I have never done one. I used to point to Jeff Holliday's, but I don't think that's up anymore because his was pretty good. And he had one on how to stream and stuff. There's several OBS tutorials out there. There's not much to it, really. But if you have questions sometime, let me know. Eric Peters, thank you so much. Lottery money, wait till you work in an Indian casino, beer money. Thank you so very much. For the record, that's going to be Pepsi money because I don't drink very often. And when I do, it's Jack Daniels. But I appreciate that. Yeah, I like gambling, but I also know my limits. Brown Coats, if you do go looking for a tutorial on OBS, just make sure you sort it by year. Do this year so that you're not getting one that's 8 years old, because there have been a lot of changes to OBS. And make sure that you're differentiating between OBS and OBS Studio. They're 2 different things. I can't run Studio, even though it would be a lot nicer and I could do more things with it. But it's a little bit too much information coming from my side. And My wonderful internet can't handle it. Fuck. Anyway, guys, we're at the 2-hour mark. I have another stream to do. I got to go try to save my land. It was taken over yesterday. Luckily, I'm still chief, but things are not looking good for the monkey line over there. Fuck, I can't believe it went so bad. It went so horribly bad last night. Horribly bad. I've never had a game go that bad. And I'm including games where I lost within the first couple of days because I got invaded immediately. But come watch. It's a lot of fun. That'll be over on Ranting Monkey Games. The link is below. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so very much for the donations. I really, really do appreciate it. And Kamala Harris is a bad choice. Tonight we'll be on my channel, 9 p.m. Eastern for Lords of the Night. I'm not sure when I'll do the game stream. Hopefully within the next half hour. And they still haven't fixed or told me how to fix the problem I'm having with dual streaming it. Make sure you're watching the one that says Crusader Kings, not the one that says Ranting Monkey is the title. You want the one with title says Crusader Kings. Come watch. Thank you, guys. Everybody, have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. I don't know what to sing about, but it's